What's up, people? We are back with more SC2VN, the StarCraft 2 eSports visual novel. So I think some people wanted me to continue playing this, and I myself very much enjoy it as well. And considering that I just finished Eden as well, I think that I have enough time to do a second visual novel as well. So yeah, I also read that this one isn't that long, so it shouldn't take too long to complete for me. So yeah, let's continue. True to her word, Jet sent me a reminder to get over to the Golden Zone Fire for some morning practice. I enjoyed playing online and all, but matching against someone only a few feet away is way more productive. Talking over games in person makes it easier to get feedback and improve, and that's what I need more than anything else. The sting from my failure over at the VSL qualifier will take time to fade. I don't want to experience that pain ever again. I catch sight of Jet in the middle row, her attention locked on the ladder game. Without disturbing her, I take a seat at her side and watch the match unfold. Furious taps and clicks rattle her keyboard. Her focus never drops from the game, much less her monitor. She's ahead, though not by much. It's not long until she extends her lead in the late game, and a few minutes later, heaves a sigh of relief when her opponent's rage quits out. Yeah, rage quit. The good old rage quit. There's no need for me to consult my Korean skills to understand his final message. Zerg Imba. You actually showed. Color me surprised. How could I not? The better question is how you have the free time to practice with some amateur. I'm the charitable sort, obviously. Anyway, you're here, so let's stop wasting time. You've paid for your PC, yeah? I nod and log myself in at the station next to hers. A minute later, the two of us are grinding out practice matches. Oh yeah, that in-game footage. Game after game is a beatdown. I can't crack her defenses when I attack, and I'm barely holding on when she goes on the offensive. She's just as unforgiving in pointing out my mistakes as she is in-game. Your wall at the ramp is to your natural is trash. How the hell do you get away with this? You're asking to get busted. It's not something I really think about that much. I just throw it up, you know? Fix it or be punished. That probably isn't an idle threat. Jet is the type of player capable of ending the game instantly if she can capitalize on the right kind of mistake. Her style has been characterized as both passive and reactive. She takes her time and watches her opponent, patient for the right moment to strike. She only takes a risk if it's calculated in her favor. Given her former success, the style has suited her well, though I can't help but wonder why she hasn't lately been performing at her previous level. Maybe she's lost her killer instinct. Guess not. A reminder of the skill difference between us rushes up the ramp to my natural expansion and crushes my wall as promised. Was that a Baneling bust? In the aftermath of the destruction, she swarms my base and seizes an easy win. Jet revels in her victory with a predatory smile. Wrecked! Get wrecked, bro! Before we get into the next game, I catch sight of a familiar face coming into the cafe. Oh yeah, it's him. Huh? Isn't that the same guy from last night? Oh, never mind. It's someone else. Hey, Jet. Do you know who that is? I thump in the stranger's direction as he passes by us. His attention occupied by a cell phone screen. Jet trails a look after him, wrinkling her nose, and shrugs. He's a KPGA player. Protoss. What about him? Come on, get into the game already. Seriously? He was at all-out attack yesterday. What's he doing outside of his team house 2 days in a row? They're only figuratively chained to their desk. Not all of them are shut-ins. Stop wasting time. Let's go. I double take away from Jet to find the player in question seated a few rows in front of us. And he's got the StarCraft 2 client open. Why would a KPGA player spend his time practice on anything but Brood War? Should I ask him for a game? I think I'm going to ask him for a game. What? No, hold on. Wait. You can't just... but before she can stop me, I rise and shuffle my way past the rows of computers. Jet shoots me a withering glare over the top of her station before ducking back down. Even though I've barely interacted with the guy, I can't help but feel a little anxious as I edge closer to his PC. Sure, he was a bit rude when we spoke, but the chance to challenge a KPGA pro is too good to pass up, especially if I'm trying to step up my game. He's about to jump into a match when I clear my throat right behind him. He suddenly alt-tabs and turns to regard me through half-lidded eyes. What? Excuse me, would you mind a practice game? No. I'm just here to... He pauses. Recognition flits across his face. You're the guy from All Out Attack yesterday, aren't you? I nod sheepishly. His only reaction is to stare on. For a moment, he looks ready to dismiss me and get to laddering, but at the last second, he nods. Alright, one game. With a final nod, I return to my station. A moment later, he and I share a game lobby and are just about ready to begin. He's playing on a barcode account. Typical. How can I still not manage to catch this guy's name? A sharp tap against my headphones announces Jet's return and displeasure. You're obnoxious. If you lose and embarrass me by association, I'm going to pretend I don't know you. Anything else Jet has to say is drowned out along with the sound of golden zone fire when I pull the ear pad back on. If the idea behind practicing against a good player is to improve, I should probably play standard. So a lot of question marks, and the only thing we know is that he probably plays Protoss. Still, the temptation to all in is always there. How sick would it be to grab a quick win on a KPGA player? No. Okay, you know what? I mean, if you just look at from this guy's perspective, right? He spent his money out of his own pocket to come here all alone, yeah? To improve and to practice. Grabbing an early win or just sort of a cheese victory against someone, sure, it feels good, like, yeah, I beat him. But in the bigger picture, it feels like you'll learn less from that ultimately, because to be honest, yeah, I hate losing as much as the next guy in competitive games, but losing games, that's what you learn from the most, especially if you not just lose the game but also analyze why you lost. So I'm not telling him to lose the game, you know, but obviously if you play standard how you normally would against an opponent equal of your skill, then you're ultimately going to learn more from it, because you're going to see all the little tiny mistakes that he capitalizes on and such. So as much as it might be cool for like a couple of seconds or a couple of days that he defeats a KPGA player, ultimately in the bigger picture you're gonna get more out of this if you just play standard. So we're gonna roll with that. It's probably best that I follow Jet's advice. I opt for a standard macro management game. This guy's build permitting. I take my natural expansion and begin teching up. The match progresses quietly with only a few brief skirmishes with his stalkers and my marines. My scans show that he's not doing anything out of the ordinary. One of us has to make a move sooner or later. I start constructing my starport and researching my bio upgrades. I'm surprised to find that they finish without any pressure coming from the Protoss army. This could be a good timing to go for some drop play and try to snipe some of his critical tech buildings. If I were to play an aggressive drop style, I need to be confident in my control and in the fact that I cannot play him. On the other hand, this game has been exceptionally quiet. If I could get up another expansion, I'll have a serious economic advantage going into the late game. I mean, we scouted him just now, right? And he doesn't do anything out of the ordinary. I personally would be kinda... I mean, it's risk getting an early third base. Like, sure, it's sort of a risk, but it's, in a way, the safe play as well if you're very, very sure that it's gonna go into the late game. But obviously, that's the quote-unquote risk in that situation, right? So, you know what? I'm gonna take that third base. I cut Marines long enough to save up for a quick third base. It finishes before my first dropship is even out. Just as my expansion is about to land, a red blip shows up on my minimap. Is a void ray? I have missile turrets to defend, so I should be fine. Wait, no! It's floating on the outskirts of my base! A warp prism! He'll be able to warp his units into my base! My army is completely out of position! Oh no. Okay, I'm greedy. He starts warping in just outside of my static defenses. Zealots rush into my base and tear my mineral line to pieces before I can move units back to defend. This is bad. Really bad. Oh god, he's at my natural too? He's got such a big army. I can't keep my defenses up with my economy crippled. Oh my god, all the stalkers. I spread myself way too thin. If only I had done a better job scouting. Exactly. I assumed that we knew what we were facing up against and that he wouldn't really take us by surprise like this with a big surprising army. So that's why I thought the third base would be a good idea, but considering that he obviously has this big of a stalker-sized army, it was a mistake. So yeah, my bad. With my production structures camped and my units die almost the second they finish training. That's checkmate. I don't have long to sulk in defeat before the KPGA player makes his way over to me with a smirk. As promised, Jet is nowhere to be seen. That was greedy. Though it's difficult to be graceful in defeat, I try my best anyway. Yeah, well, it's not something I've practiced a whole lot, and I didn't really produce as efficiently as I could have. Wouldn't have mattered. Bad mechanics should be the least of your worries. His grin darkens to one without humor. Is this guy serious? What the hell is your problem? You demand a gain and whine when you get a little pushback? Look who's talking! Everyone knows your type, the foreigner out to make a name for himself. You fly out here on a whim and waste 6 weeks training? You aren't the first, and unfortunately won't be the last. Your plane ticket doesn't buy you the right to call yourself a pro gamer. Save your money and your time and go back home. I feel the heat rise in my face, half in anger and half in embarrassment. I've never dealt with this well with confrontation. But before I can say anything, Jet steps out from around the corner and cuts between the two of us. Still great at making friends, huh, Bolt? He glances between the two of us, surprised. After a moment's pause, the so-called Bolt seizes back his smirk and meets Jet with a step forward. Been a while, hasn't it? What's supposed Star League champion doing with trash like this? Bolt looks past her and tilts her head towards me. I take a step towards him, but an open palm from Jet stops me from growing any further. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised. Jumping ship to a scene bloated with foreign money has its upsides, but it won't be long before you get the dignity or forget the dignity of a pro gamer. The dignity of a pro gamer, huh? You make it sound like it's so distinguished. You've changed for the worst and you don't even realize it. How sad. Shouldn't be much longer until the KPGA finally accepts that there's no future in Brood War. You're smart enough to know when what happens then. But hey, the scene could use more casters. Whatever you say. For the record, what excuse did you give your coach for another day off? VIP's a little more lax than Shock T1, but I might want to borrow it someday. At that, Bolt scowls. Jet doesn't waste the opening and strikes again. Don't worry, Dongsang. Your secret's safe with me. Run along now. I'm sure you've got some coins to flip or something. The standoff lasts a moment longer before Bolt lets out a lazy shrug, instantly killing off the intensity in his expression. I've got better things to do than offer advice to a mouthy chobo. Do what you want, kid. He thumbs his nose at me and returns to his station without another word. Thumbs his nose at me? What is that? As soon as Bolt's out of sight, Jet takes my arm in a vice and practically drags me away. What the hell was that? Did you close your eyes, expand, and hope for the best? Even after a heated confrontation, her concern is with the match before anything else. I almost laugh. I don't know. I was trying to be kinda tricky and put my third base where he wouldn't have normally scouted. It's blatantly obvious that you're expanding if you haven't shown an army that late in the game. All he had to do was look around the map and collect a free win. Her pointed critique diffuses the tension from moments prior, and even if it doesn't exactly make me feel any better. When she's done going through my long list of mistakes, Jet flicks a hand back towards the PCs. Come on, queue up a game against me. I told Jet that I wasn't feeling up to practice after we played a few more one-sided games. She seemed annoyed, but agreed with my suggestion to take a short break. Back in high school, I used to spend most of my time at the library when class was over. To be honest, this is probably the most time I've willingly spent outside of my room since then. I'm not the type to read for fun or study diligently, but it was nice to have a place to go to and be on your own. I've missed those afternoons since I graduated. But Golden Zonefire is a good replacement as hangout as I could hope for. It's clean and comfortable, and has pretty much everything I'd need to stay 24/7. It's open 24/7? Damn, awesome cafe. That isn't an exaggeration. Some of the patrons here look practically glued to their chairs. With a milk tea from one of the vending machines in hand, I return to my seat across from Jet. She isn't wearing the same scowl from earlier, but I can tell she'd rather be practicing. What are you drinking? She snatches up the can across from her and takes a long sip. Alright, here we go. Sellout mode. It's probably gonna be like, it's only coffee? I was expecting to go like Red Bull TM. Trademark. Or Monster Energy drink. What kind of coffee? Coffee is coffee. I don't drink sugary junk. And for the record, it's obnoxious to challenge someone you don't know to a match. Is it really such a big deal? I just wanted a practice game against a good player. Seems harmless. Do you know those types that stream snipe and start shit on message boards so people pay attention to them? More than a few come to mind. That's you, except you did it in real life. It's sort of different though, right? Because you walk up to me, sure but it's different. Like if you stream snipe, you're actually doing something that's considered unethical in a way, right? It's sort of cheating, right? Whereas if you just walk to him, you're asking him, you're not forcing him to play, you're just asking like, do you mind playing a practice match? He's allowed to say no, right? Cut me some slack. How do you know that guy anyway? His name is Bolt? Yes, he plays for Shock T1. Shock, huh? Bolt must be a new recruit. I haven't paid much attention to them or any other Brood War team since StarCraft 2 came out, but he definitely wasn't on their roster a year ago. Right, but how do you know him? Jet clicks her tongue and breaks her gaze away from me. I silently appreciate the reprieve from her death glare. If you must know, he and I went to the same middle school. I was in a class above him. Huh? Okay. I was thinking he might have knocked you out of a tournament or something. No, I've never played him in a Star League. You don't need to overanalyze everything. Silence falls between us while Jet nurses what remains of her drink. I can't tell if she's really into the coffee or if she's just trying to find something to occupy her lips other than our conversation. I doubt Jet spends much time at PC Banks given that she's got a team house to practice from. I should consider myself lucky that she'd make time to come out here at all. You know, it makes zero sense for you to focus on qualifying for VSL, right? I blink myself from my thoughts to meet Jet's intense stare. What do you mean? What's the point of us meeting up to practice then? No, I'm not saying... Listen. I want to round up some players. For what? Oh, she's gonna make a team? For VSTL. Oh, Team League. But you're already on a team. Yeah? She wavers, considering whether or not to tell me what I've already figured out. You're leaving VIP? Jet's eyes jump to mine, brows raised in surprise and then furrowed in annoyance. She's been on VIP for almost a year and is by far the best team's player. Management barely pays us and nobody's motivated. They're worse than bad. They're complacent. I want a fresh start. Hey, I'm not guilting you. It just isn't something I expected to hear. Do you have a team house picked out? No, not yet. What about a coach? No. Well, do you have players in mind? Look, it's a work in progress, okay? I edge away from her glare and raise my hands defensively. Okay, I won't ask again. For a while, silence. Jet does her best to avoid eye contact, but I can tell that she's thinking hard about something. Just as I'm about to rise to replace my milk tea with another, she speaks. You know about all those new foreign teams popping up recently, right? Yeah. What about them? Isn't it strange? They're worse than almost every Korean squad, yet most of them have more sponsors. Well, there are a lot of eSports fans outside of Korea these days. People want to support their hometown heroes. I don't think it's that simple. What? Where would the money come from if not the fans? Idiots. What? Idiots. Idiots call themselves investors. Idiots that throw money away keeping mediocre players afloat because it makes them feel good inside for whatever reason. Well, she and Bolt agree on one thing at least. Okay. Are you going to find some idiots to sponsor you? No. Well, she takes a long moment to reconsider her answer. Let me guess, she's going to take advantage of the fact that I'm a foreigner and she wants me to drag in the idiots or something? No, it wouldn't work out in the end. What I'm getting at is that too much of our scene ignores the foreign fan base. It's a huge mistake. Well, there's the time zone difference and the language barrier. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but lots of foreign fans don't find Korean players entertaining. What? How dare you? That's ridiculous. I'm just relaying common knowledge. Don't hold me accountable for the opinions of Silver Leaguers. Most Western fan support goes to the people who entertain well, streamers, casters, those kind of people. The most famous players in your scene aren't the best? That's appalling. Hey, don't pretend like Brood War didn't get famous on the back of dudes who looked good on camera. If the PC Bang was the ship, then fangirls pulled the oars. Yeah, that's different. They were pretty and skilled, not one or the other. And show some respect. Those dudes are the only reason you and I are able to have this conversation. That's true. The sharp response and equally sharp glare suggest I shouldn't argue the point. Jet knows better than I do. We're getting off topic. There are tons of potential fans that most Korean teams ignore simply because they're too hard to connect with. Yeah, I agree. She lifts an eyebrow and stares at me for just a bit too long before glancing away. If I wasn't sure before, I am now. Go on, say it. Say what? I know what you're thinking. No, you don't. Yes, I do. What am I thinking then? You want me to join a new team you're starting so I can help you with the foreign fan base. Also, you invited me here to try out under the guise of practice. I gotcha. Jet slumps back in her seat, defeated. I fight a losing battle against the urge to laugh. Don't look so smug. I hate dealing with team management. You could always hire a manager. Before we have any players, maybe I should just keep my head down and practice. No, don't do that. I think it's a good idea. You're only saying that because I gave you an offer. Maybe, but hey, if you go through with this, I'll do whatever I can to help. How are you the one convincing me to go after my own idea? Damn it! She chews on her lips, likely considering the harrowing risk of leaving her team. I can't make any commitments until we at least have some other players. It'd be stupid for me to move out of the VIP house without everything lined up. This is something I've been thinking about for a while, even if I don't have every detail hashed out yet. I want to keep overhead low and practice time high, lean and mean. She aims a finger at me, her dull nail a hair's breadth before my nose. If you're going to be a part of this, you're going to pull your weight. You can start by searching for our players, unless you'd rather find me a coach and sponsor. I cringe backwards and raise my hands. No, I'll leave that to you. Good. It'll work out better this way. The minimum number of players for Team League is 4, so we need to find at least 2. You know, this isn't exactly what I had in mind as the ideal join a team experience. Walk away if you like. You have a long way to go if you want to be anything other than our translator mascot anyway. I'll admit though, Axel was right. I see glimpses of high level stuff in your play. But as of right now, you kinda suck, even by foreigner standards. Offense intended. You seriously need to start busting your ass. Coming to Korea is pointless if you're still practicing Western hours. Well, nobody ever claimed that Jet wasn't honest. I'm going to work you and everyone else like dogs. If this team comes together, I won't be happy with anything less than first place in the VSTL. Well, I appreciate the chance. I offer a smile that she's quick to match. If we're going ahead with this, I've got a lot of stuff to do. The deadline to register for Team League is in 2 weeks, so we can't afford to waste time. Get moving on your search. Alright, good luck. I'll catch you online. Yeah, later. When she's gone, I fall back into my chair and take a deep breath. Jet just asked me to join her team. I pinch my forearm and judge the sensation that follows. With that, my disbelief dissolves into contemplation. How the hell am I going to find 2 worthwhile unsigned players? Yeah, that seems like a really difficult task. Considering it's more, it would be more, even if a good player is unsigned, right? It'd be more convincing to have a player of Jet's caliber walk up to them and ask them to join a team than a random foreigner to them, like myself. Because they'd be like, oh, what is this guy doing, and how do I even know who good he is, and he might be lying about Jet being on the team and whatnot, so it's gonna be hard for us to convince people of that, I guess. A mixture of guilt and pride led me to spend the rest of the day at the Golden Zone Fire. Between ladder games and a break for dinner, I scoped out the cafe's best StarCraft players. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like any of the Golden Zone Fire's regular patrons are much to write home about. There were good players there for all-out attack, sure, but today, most of the cafe's patrons were playing Brood War, and of the ones that were actually laddering in StarCraft 2, there was only a single guy in Master League. I'll have to extend my search outside of a single PC bang. I guess it had been a little too convenient to find a VSL caliber player so easily. I get the urge to stop at a convenience store on the way back to my apartment. There's one I've been going to regularly for my nightly fix of sugar and caffeine. The store's blindingly bright signage is visible more than a block away. Green capital letters spell out the store's name in English on the backdrop of white. Gomart. The door's familiar chime welcomes me, and the same clerk I've seen at least a dozen times before stands firmly behind the cash register. He looks a bit old to be working still. Maybe he owns the place and doesn't have the help to work the night shift? I see myself standing behind the counter in an unwanted mental image. It's a fate that could easily await me if I fail to make it as a professional gamer. Dang, that's harsh. I shake my head free of the thought and make my way to the refrigerated section of the store to fill my fists with cans and bottles. Some of the drinks may have strange names, but I'll be damned if they aren't good. I drop them on the counter in front of the old man and briefly make eye contact with him. He seems to recognize me, but doesn't say anything to indicate it. He rings up my drinks slowly, not from age or calluses, but because he's in no great rush. The store's empty, aside from me, after all. 6,001. I swipe my credit card in the reader and depart with a polite smile, anxious to return to my apartment. The clerk returns the expression and watches me go without another word. The only top-tier player I'm on speaking terms with is Axel, but how would I even approach the subject of getting him to leave his team for a new and untested one? Maybe it would be better for me to simply get a lead from him. If I can't manage that, then I'm left to scour local PC banks and message boards on my own. Whatever, I'll figure this out tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna figure it out indeed. So yeah, we're gonna be ending the video here. It's actually taking an interesting turn here. I didn't imagine that she would actually... But I can sort of understand it because even though I haven't been following StarCraft 2 that much, I saw glimpses here and there of actually, you know, Korean teams, just successful Korean players leaving Korean teams to join foreign teams. So the exact reasoning behind that, I'm not entirely sure, but it's probably got to do with that fact that exactly what Jet mentioned. So yeah, it's kind of interesting that she approached me for that idea. I mean, sure, it sort of feels like she's mainly using us, not for our skill, you know. She doesn't want us to join the team because she thinks we're skilled. She wants us to join the team because I'm a foreigner, I could pull in the foreign fan base, and also because she can sort of see some potential, but that's like below the other two pluses for her. So yeah, kind of interesting. But I guess for a guy in my situation that came here out of nowhere, I guess it's just for who it seems like it's unlikely to succeed, to have an offer like this, that's like, damn, that you can't not take it. So yeah, obviously we're gonna take it, and yeah, gonna try and look for 2 players in the next video. So thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more, and I will see you in the very next video. Peace.